Hi, I'm Janet West with the Kiowa County Media Center. Welcome to Center Court, brought to you by the Media Center in cooperation with our partners, Kiowa County Schools. They are the proud host of Sub-State 2A basketball. Right now the courts are quiet, but this evening there will be 8 teams from area high schools that will compete to advance for 2A state basketball competition. The Media Center is proud to be the broadcast arm for this event and for state competition next week in Manhattan. It's an incredible achievement of 21st century technology and skilled volunteers bringing professional network-style programming to friends and fans all around the world. Today, we would like to introduce you to the men who made this possible. Dr. Bert R. Biles, Kansas State University's Executive Producer Emeritus, and Brandon Utech, also with Kansas State University. He's the systems analyst there for the university. Welcome, gentlemen. It's
Thank you.
been an honor to work with you. Now, over the past 6 years, we've had quite a ride. Things have changed quickly, and you know about our partnership with the schools. You know about our partnership with Pratt Community College, where we have just announced that pending, Kansas State Board of Regents are looking at a program in multimedia broadcasting production. We have a partnership with Twilight Theater here in Greensburg, and we're working to make it broadcast ready. We're doing sub-state basketball, and next week we'll be doing state basketball tournament at Manhattan. So we've come a really long way. Not to belabor this too much and not to in any way diminish the storm that brought all of this together, which was the 2000 EF5 tornado that hit Greensburg. It really was a perfect storm that brought the people together that needed to come together to create the Media Center, the technology that was available, the advancements that were made in the past 10, 20 years, the people in the community who supported a change at that time, lots of generous contributors that came into our aid with wonderful new technology. So with all of those things in mind, it's been a wonderful experience for me as part of the Media Center. But what do you think? Would you do it all again?
Well, without a doubt, it was certainly an interesting proposition. As you know, at Kansas State University, by September of 2007, the university was looking for ways to respond to the circumstances in Greensburg. And a group of us thought perhaps there might be a role that new technology could play in terms of giving Greensburg a voice and also an opportunity for the students and the community residents to learn about and work with this new broadcasting technology.
And Brandon, at that time, what was your role? What were you involved in at that time?
Basically saying, Bert, we can't do this. Well, maybe we can do this. Okay, let's do this. A lot of it was obviously the need was there. Communication was severely diminished by the storm, and beyond just rebuilding what was there, the community needed a way to move forward, and I looked at that as an opportunity to integrate technology, as Bert said. Mm-hmm. And so my role at that point was to simply find out, okay, what's out there, what's reasonable, what's doable, and what's sustainable.
Well, and our conversations here in the community at that time were centered in what we call Public Square, which is an opportunity for us all to come together and simply brainstorm the new image of Greensburg, Kansas. We knew we wanted to maintain the traditions, but we also knew that we wanted to go forward. And one of the topics that kept coming up was communications. We had a wonderful little weekly newspaper, but we didn't have a local television network. We had, the way we got our news was down at the grocery store, frankly. So at that time then, the community was ready for change. We were ready to step forward. So we had some ideas in mind for us as well. But I must say, this went far beyond any of our ideas. Where did these ideas come from?
Well, they came from a couple of places. Number one, I think it's safe to say that I've never been accused of thinking small. And as a consequence, I began to look at this as an opportunity. A group of us from K-State, including some of our friends from the college, from the A.Q. Miller School of Journalism and Mass Communications came down, and we just came down on a speculative visit to see for ourselves what the circumstances were. And as you remember the story, I sat down at the Carport Cafe on Highway 54 the first noon we were here, and this guy sat down next to me wearing a K-State baseball cap. And I was wearing one. He said, "So who are you and why are you here?" So I gave him the 2-minute description of something about media and communications and communities. And then I said, "Who should I talk to?" And he looked at me and sort of grinned and said, "Me." And that person turned out to be Gene West, your husband,
That's true.
and at that time a county commissioner. So we spent almost a month talking to folks in the public square group, the city government, the county government, and the business community about the possibilities that this might offer, and everybody said, "Sure, why not?" Now, at that point I said to Brendan, "Well, we may have to take this another step here."
And when we first began to talk, I think we were all here in Greensburg kind of thinking about, well, a robust web portal. But then what you suggested, but what are you going to put on it? Well, that leads us to web design. It leads us to video production. It leads us to all of those things that both of you were doing there at K-State. And I know that the technology had to come along. It wasn't, before, as we talk about a perfect storm, we had to have the right people together. We had to have the vision from Kansas State University that took us out of our box. We also had to have the technology. Brandon, tell us a little bit about this technology.
Yeah, 10, 15 years ago, you wouldn't have dreamed of doing some sort of television production facility with internet radio capabilities and an online web portal to the degree that it exists today in Greensburg. That was really a maturation of technology that came along right about the time that the storm happened. And we had gotten to the point with computers where they were fast enough, powerful enough, to where you could take some of these technologies that were traditionally very big, bulky, and expensive for the broadcast industry and condense it into a standard PC, maybe with a little bit of special hardware. And at that point, it became much more cost efficient, as well as workflow efficient, to use those outside of the professional broadcast studio. So now, whereas before you needed to have a highly skilled workforce just to get a basic news show done, now with a Utech TriCaster, which is basically a PC with a few extra pieces in it, you could produce a complete professional-looking television show end to end with a computer and student and community volunteers. And so I think that is really what drove much of the development that happened down here, was the fact that this technology became available and it was economical and it was easy enough to use that mere mortals could operate it.
And not just mere mortals, but sixth graders,
Yes.
literally.
Yes.
And we do have sixth graders on our crew. They run the cameras. And speaking of another piece of wonderful equipment, I know that you had a lot of dealings with Sony, and that's the direction we went with the cameras.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned Sony as a model, and the folks at Adobe and the folks at Vitech Corporation, which produces light panels and autoscript prompters and tripods that I'm just looking at as I sit here.
Yeah, much of what you see here is a Vitech product supporting the camera.
Yes,
so,
yes, and I
key
can't
players.
forget Clearcom as well, who
Right.
came in.
Well,
I mean, there were so many, I couldn't begin to list them all.
But two critical elements. One is the county government said, "Let's do this," and that was the first critical decision that needed to be made. Then Brandon and I flew out to Las Vegas to the National Association of Broadcasters convention and started talking to these manufacturers. And enough of the companies that we needed to put this together said we would be delighted to support this venture, that it became a reality.
Yes, very generous contributions to help us get started. But the point is, with a lot of this, is that it really wasn't even ready to go until we were ready to do this, which is just an incredible coincidence. I mean, I can remember at the state fair pulling boxes out, opening the boxes for the first time, and plugging them in, brand new, and them just powering up and working like they were supposed to. And this technology was literally the first of its kind that we were putting in our trailer. I mean, it was brand new technology.
Oh, you're absolutely right. We had to wait for the assembly lines at Utech to finish uh, producing a TriCaster, a switcher unit that would handle 8 cameras and digital technology. And they didn't even send it to K-State or to Greensburg. They shipped it directly to Manhattan so we could install it at the fairgrounds. And as you said, the Sony cameras arrived and we unboxed them, put them on the tripods, and cranked up the system, and it ran for 10 days.
And all of this technology continues to advance.
Yes.
And they're becoming even more accessible to the general public. And of course, that's the vision of the Media Center.
Well, but as important as those contributions are, however, I think one also has to talk about A, the community, and B, the potential that this represents for education, for community growth, for new business opportunities, for helping businesses throughout the Midwestern part of Kansas, for taking high school sports to the world,
That's right.
for broadcasting from the big agricultural trade shows out here in the Midwest. And now the calls are starting to come because you have the only production trailer between Kansas City and Denver. Now
Right.
folks are saying, hey, we're responsible for producing college basketball games on television. Are you guys available?
Right, we've had those calls.
I
Yes.
know. And all of these opportunities, and the new, not to mention the new curriculum program with Pratt Community College that'll offer students a chance to get a Associate of Arts degree, essentially in production and all the different range of skills. All of that made possible by the resources of the Media Center.
Yes, and I can't talk enough about our programming producer as well, Grant Newholt, who again, perfect storm coming together, was available to come to us from Colorado, and this little startup media center. And I said to him, I hope you're really flexible. I hope you can work without a job description because we don't know what you're going to do. And he said, fine, and he came right on board, and he's really developed a wonderful program here, great partnerships, wonderful connections with our community, and then with statewide, really.
One of the things that we talked about when we started this was its potential for being a model for other communities and educational organizations. And that still pertains. I mean, K-State actually is sort of following in the footsteps in the use of the TriCaster.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, there's been sports programming at Kansas State University that has been done exclusively with a TriCaster. They actually, the university owns several and uses them in various capacities, not just for sports, but also in the classroom. Many of the lectures that you see produced now coming out of K-State are actually being produced as a multi-camera shoot using the same kind of technologies that you're using
Excellent.
right here in Kiowa
Yes.
County. So.
Well, and you know a lot about what's going on at K-State. Well, both of you do, but I know that you are also the on the sports crew for all of the games, the men's basketball and so on. I think for everything. So
Yeah,
that's,
baseball's starting. That's my next gig tomorrow.
we're gonna get you out of here soon enough to do that. Well, I want you to know how much we appreciate all of the work that you have done. This has been an incredible 6 years, and I know that, Bert, you postponed your retirement, and I know that you ran up and down the road and then came back out and served as our consultant to install all of the equipment in the control studio at the permanent facility, and we just could not have done it without you. And one of the major reasons that we ask you to be here today is right here on this plaque, and we are proud to name the studios at the Media Center in your honor. It will be called they will all be called the Biles Utech Media Studios, It is for your vision, your design, your engineering, and your installation, and your constant friendship and consultation over all of our products. And we just couldn't be more proud to have you on board as our honorary members of the board, really. And don't think you can get away. We will always have your phone number.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great honor. When we opened the building, I described it as a miracle of the human spirit, and I really think it is that.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. And like Bert, I am also very honored to have even taken a part in it. And recognition aside, the real recognition needs to go to the community who supported this and continues to support it through their volunteer efforts. And you can put the building there, you can put the technology there, but at the end of the day, there has to be somebody there to run it and to support it and to share the vision. And I really commend the community for coming
Absolutely.
together and making this a reality.
Absolutely. And the community does stand behind you. And I want, later on today at a reception, you will both receive the community's Well Done Award from the Economic Development and Tourism folks. And they couldn't be more proud to have you in town today, too. So we'll look forward to that later on this afternoon. Thank you so much for sitting in with us today.
Thank you.
We are ready to go forward with the plans for the future with these gentlemen at our side, and we appreciate that so much. By supporting area education, business, and nonprofit goals with 21st century solutions, the Media Center is a vital partner for success. What began with a need to improve communication in the community has found reality in the vision and dedication of Bert and Brandon. Without them, the Media Center would not have been possible. Thank you for joining us at Center Court. This has been a production of Kiowa County Media Center, bringing you a new age of communications.